Welcome back to Buzz TV. I'm Howard Wolpoff, your host. Having the right frame of mind and being comfortable with who you are and just having the right people to talk to is very important. And sometimes you need help, and sometimes you need the right person to help you with some of the things you're going through. Today we're fortunate. We have Elaine Latimer Tandy from Living Transformations here to talk about how her practice helps people and really getting them into the right comfort zone. So Elaine, welcome to the Buzz.
Thank you.
So you've been working in this industry for quite a while.
Yes.
How did you get started?
I got started working in Indianapolis, Indiana, working as a counselor for kids that were detained in the juvenile justice system, helping them to adjust to detention and helping to identify ways that would help them better adjust and stay out of trouble in the community. After that, I moved to Atlanta, Georgia, where I worked in residential for about 13 years at a hospital with kids and adolescents that had severe psychiatric disorders.
So why were you drawn to this profession?
It's a long story in a way, but I kind of grew up in an atmosphere where my mother was like the neighborhood therapist.
Okay.
A lot of women in the neighborhood would come to her. She provided free babysitting services. She was just very kind and caring for those that were in need. And as a child, sometimes I would sit and hide behind the door and listen to some of her, the stories and the problems. Yeah. And then she would sometimes involve me in those because some of the women in the neighborhood had severe financial difficulties, and she would just send me sometimes to their home, go get their kids and bring them over here so we can feed them. And she was just that caring. And I think that played a big part.
It plays obviously a huge part.
Yeah.
So you moved your practice to Brunswick, Georgia.
Yeah.
And that was how long ago?
Just only 3 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. I wanted to get out of working for other facilities because sometimes you're limited in the scope of how many interventions you can do with people. And so having a private practice allows me to broaden my horizons and using different therapeutic interventions with people.
So what do you specialize in within your private practice?
I specialize in post-traumatic stress disorder, grief and loss, and anxiety and depression disorders.
And all those are very important to have the right people to guide you and talk to you and help you pull information from yourself to help clear your mind.
Yeah, it does. Especially those with trauma. It's a lot of, people are afraid to come to therapy. Sometimes dealing with trauma, people are afraid and don't want to dig up all that old stuff that's very hurtful and some of the horrific events that have happened to them. But I've worked with trauma in the trauma field for several years, and I have a lot of experience, and there are a lot of really great interventions that you can use with people in helping them to overcome some of the emotional difficulties that they experience.
So is there, would you say, a typical time that people spend with you, or is it vary based on their diagnosis?
A lot of times it's based on the diagnosis and some of the background information on the clients. Sometimes I'll ask the clients how long do they see themselves spending in therapy, before we start, because it shouldn't be a process that goes on forever.
Sure.
If you're doing effective interventions, you'll be able to help your clients move through and give them the skills where they can, function better day to day.
So how do you measure success with them?
Well, we set goals. Sometimes it's just learning for clients. They want to learn how to manage some of the thoughts that come with their trauma. They want to maybe start school, go back to college, but they don't have the emotional stability and sometimes dealing with depression to get the motivation to make those steps. So it's kind of on the client, once they reach their goals. Sometimes I can tell, when the client is explaining the effective skills that they've learned and that they're using those day to day. So, then I ask them, are you ready to go? You think you can go out there on your own? And a lot of times they are ready.
So what is the best way for people to get in contact with you if they want to learn more about your practice and get involved in therapy?
Well, I have a website. It's lt-counseling.com. We have an email address, and that is info at lt-counseling.com. And our phone number is 912-268-4747. If you just have any questions or you're thinking about therapy, you can feel free to call.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for sharing time with us and sharing information about your practice. And really, best of luck to you with everything.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. If you're having some issues, it doesn't hurt to pick up the phone, call, ask questions at the very least, but also look into what's the best way to address what your needs are, and therapy might be that right answer for you. To learn more information, click on jacksonvillebuzz.com, but go out and have a great time today, and we'll see you next time on Buzz TV.